I just voted for mayor. But 2 weeks ago, I had no idea who I was going to vote for. In this video, we talked with some of the candidates. We went to the debates, behind the scenes.
It's going to get very heated. It's going to get very passionate.
We probably have like 10 people in this small space.
We spoke with real New Yorkers.
Hi, my name's Joanne.
My name is Noah.
Steve.
Ava.
And I eventually figured out who to vote for. That's what this video is about. Alex, did I say everything I need to say?
You got it.
Okay, let's go back in time to 2 weeks ago. Today is Monday, June 2nd. The mayoral primary election is Tuesday, June 24th. 3 weeks from today, and I still don't know who I'm gonna vote for. But over the course of this video, I'm gonna figure it out. It feels like every single year there's another election that's dubbed
The most important election.
The most important election of our lifetimes.
And to be honest, it has me feeling a little bit burnt out. But still, I know how important it is to vote, so every time there's an election, I make sure to get to the polls. The problem, the Democratic primary for New York City mayor has 9 major candidates. Here, just point the microphone this
Obviously,
way.
I don't do this usually.
Yeah, no, but welcome. What I'm trying to figure out, how do you decide who to vote for?
It's a hard decision because there's so many people running. People are going by name recognition.
Look up their policy stances online and talk to your friends who are plugged in, I guess.
I read Gothamist.
Yeah.
I read City.
Local news.
Right, local news.
You have to look at all the paperwork everywhere you can on the internet.
And check that your sources are credible.
It's hard to figure this out. Anyone? Any takers? The mayor of New York is basically the CEO of the city. They get to decide how the city's $115 billion annual budget gets spent. That is a huge responsibility. But how do I decide who's actually going to do the best job? Candidates develop ads designed to get your attention and win your heart, but they can promise the world and walk back those promises once they're elected. Candidates are all over social media trying to appear down to earth and relatable. But what if viral videos show about someone's ability to govern 8.5 million people? Traditional media presents itself as a trustworthy source to learn what candidates actually stand for. But as outlets get more polarized, I don't know who to trust. But there is an arena that's been around for literally thousands of years where candidates don't get a second take and are asked to show their true colors on live TV.
Good evening. Welcome to the final Democratic primary debate in the race for mayor of New York City. I'm Errol Lewis. And
this spring, we worked our way into some behind-the-scenes access to learn how these debates work. We're in the headquarters of Spectrum News NY1, and we're going to learn about how a local news organization puts on a debate. By the way, NY1 is just in the middle of Chelsea Market, so everywhere there's tourists, you go upstairs, you're in the newsroom. Can you introduce yourself to this camera?
Hi, my name is Maria Abadi. I am a managing director here at NY1.
What is this place?
This is one of our main studio spaces.
Obviously, these are cameras.
Yep, that is a feed of what we're seeing right now. There's a tally light at the very top, and that lets you know that that camera is hot. That's live.
Should we walk over and see what the control room actually looks like?
If you do not like a stressful environment, you do not want to be in the control room.
All the different clocks, the different boroughs. Obviously, it's the same time everywhere.
Oh, okay.
Should I sit here? So this is where you're going to be sitting.
Yes, I just saw this for the first time. It looks, it looks brand new, and we used to stick together like a couple of picnic tables and stuff, and this looks a lot more professional.
Can you introduce yourself here?
I'm Errol Lewis, the political anchor at Spectrum News NY1.
You've done this before.
I wanted to say I've done over 100, but I can't swear to that. Everything from scrappy little district leader fights or, city council races in church basements, all the way up to being a questioner in the debate between Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton during the presidential race in 2016.
Errol Lewis, go ahead with your question. We're going to continue on this. Errol, go ahead.
Okay, Secretary Clinton, as Secretary of State, you also...
Presidential debates are some of the most watched TV broadcasts in America, and it makes sense. These are important events with huge consequences, but maybe more importantly, they can be filled with a lot of drama. Mayoral debates can be very exciting too.
I've had some moments where it wasn't necessarily unexpected or even unanticipated, but it was unpleasant. Let's go with that word. Back in 2017, I had to throw somebody out of the audience.
Every place else in the city.
Goodbye. You have a nice evening. You see this guy? Good night, sir. And in that same debate, I had to cut the mics on one of the candidates.
It's about doing things and not just talking.
Mr. de Blasio, your turn to ask a question.
Thank you, Errol. My question is this is to the Assembly member. Sorry, I get only one. Only one.
Turn off Dietl's mic.
I could think of many questions for you, but I only get one.
This is how we resolve our differences short of war. So it's going to get very heated. It's going to get very passionate. But as long as it doesn't stray into that warlike zone where you've lost all order and, violence or disruption is entering the room. But short of that, I like to give the candidates a little room. They can tussle if they want.
Like Errol said, debates are where candidates can battle face to face. Got me wondering what would happen without them. Well, in 1834, the New York City mayoral election had no debate, and violence broke out. On the third and final day of the election, 1,500 Whig freemen again did battle with Jacksonians armed with clubs and brickbats. And when the mayor tried to intervene, he was knocked to the pavement. These heated exchanges we see today are an improvement. For much of the city's history, debates were not the norm. Then, in 1993, Rudy Giuliani refused to debate because his main challenger, David Dinkins, wanted third-party candidate George Marlin invited. Giuliani didn't, so Dinkins and Marlin went on air next to an empty chair.
Gentlemen.
Good morning.
Morning. Mr. Giuliani elected not to appear here today with you. He and his staff had made it clear that they feel...
The public was furious. In 1996, a new law passed. If you take public matching funds, you have to debate. Most candidates take the funds, and that's why the stage is so packed. Part of the law requires nonpartisan sponsors, like New York One, to organize the events and to write the questions. The questions are not done yet. You're still working on them.
Questions are never really
You
done
can't tell
up
me.
until... I can't tell you anything. I'm sorry.
If you were hosting the debates yourself, what's one question you have for all the candidates?
Well, we're in a band together, and I think we'd ask all the candidates.
You're making me do it?
How do we think that all the cuts to federal funding will affect public school programs?
Will you release your taxes? Will you also support the immigrant community?
Are you going to support the New York City retirees?
How are we going to deal with the situation with homelessness?
What are your plans to support people that are experiencing homelessness?
What are you going to do about the homelessness?
What is your plan to make New York City more affordable?
Why is there so much scaffolding, and how do we get rid of it?
Speak of the devil. You have the questions written on a teleprompter?
Generally, you don't put it in a teleprompter, in part because you don't necessarily want everybody in the studio, including the candidates, to see it. And the wording is actually very important. You don't want to say to somebody that, hey, it's time for us now to talk about people going to prison, when what you actually mean is jail. There's a difference between a jail and a prison. You don't want to talk about, rent control if what you mean is rent stabilization. Not the same thing. So anyway, the questions are written out word for word and worked out. We sit and we read them to each other on the team, and we are all listening to tests to make sure it's accurate, it's fair, it's brief, but it also sort of brings people up to speed and allows the candidates to answer.
We had to take a work trip to Barcelona that coincided with the first primary debate, but that didn't stop me from watching.
It's 1:10 a.m. in Spain, but we're watching New York City mayoral debates.
And the profitable corporations that Mr. Cuomo cares more about than working class New Yorkers.
And he has no experience with Washington, no experience in New York City.
This is the first mayoral debate. Everyone who's running gets a chance to take part in this.
It's 2:45 in the morning. We've been watching this for a while. I'm still not totally decided on who I'm going to vote for, but I do think the debate is an amazing place for all the different candidates to talk about what's important to them and sort of explain where they stand on different issues. So overall, I was impressed by this debate, and I'm excited for the next one.
New York One invited us up to John Jay College to watch them set up for the second debate. I was still away, so we sent our producer, Alex. That's him.
I think it's over here.
It's really cool to see them set up this auditorium. There are tons of cameras around. They're tweaking the lights, and they're doing a whole walkthrough. There's these cool patriotic lights that they're shining on the walls just to set the mood. Okay, so we're on stage right now, and you can see all the podiums. Each has the face of the person who's going to be standing there.
Where are we going?
We are going in our mini control room. Come on in. We probably have like 10 people in this small space, very tight quarters. But this is where we'll be on debate night.
Will you be in here?
I'll be in here.
Does that mean you're saying like camera 6, go camera 6?
That's his job. He is our lovely director.
And our hair will be on fire, but other than that, it'll be great.
Cool, thank you guys. Okay, it's Thursday night. We're back uptown. And we're heading over to the debate. It's an amazing scene here with so much energy and passion. It really shows you how much people care about local politics. Oh, it's Zoran. He's walking in. How are you feeling ahead of the debate?
Great. It's nice to have the whole family here. Rosa just graduated from college. They're all in town tonight.
Someone's getting out of a taxi. I think it's one of the candidates. No, it's just some lady. Never mind. Okay, they said we can't film once we're inside.
Good evening. Welcome to the final Democratic primary.
The ability to get the job done. That's really
I want to tell you, though, about some immigrant New Yorkers that Andrew Cuomo screwed.
I have never had to resign in disgrace. I have never cut Medicaid.
I built the best controller's office that Brad Lander takes credit for, and I'm already doing the work. I'm already there.
factually impossible, Brad.
Watching and listening, and have a great evening.
Okay, so we just finished the debate. We ran back here to the spin room. The candidates, some of them are going to come in here and talk to reporters, so we're really excited to see what happens.
I wasn't here to win a prize fight.
The race that's already doing the work.
So a bunch of candidates have shown up to the spin room so far, but Cuomo isn't here, and he has a spokesperson for him talking right now.
He was clear, articulate, drew applause, has
I think it's a sign of disrespect. I think it is an inability to understand that each and every New Yorker deserves the same dignity.
What goes into preparing for a debate? Like, walk us through your process.
I mean, the most fun, of course, is doing a mock debate where, you know, your volunteers and staff and friends stand in for the candidates.
You have to condense everything down into short sound bites.
Yeah, I'm sure time moves a lot faster when you're on stage than when you're practicing.
There's a light there that's green, yellow, and red. And I was like, dang, you know, how am I already at 50 seconds? And that's when it turns to yellow, and then it goes red at a minute.
Zoran, can we ask you a quick question?
Sorry, I just have to run.
Okay, thank you so much. Well, we just tried to ask Zoran a question. We couldn't get it in, but there's always next time. And that's the debate. Really fun to be here. Let's go home.
I'm standing outside of my early voting polling place right now. I'm about to go inside and place my vote. So we spent the last 2 weeks digging into each candidate, and I think I finally came up with a way to figure out who I'm going to vote for. Voting isn't about the candidates, it's about you. And so my approach was I identified 3 or 4 issues that were most important to me. Not thinking about the candidates, but 3 or 4 things that I think are going to make New York City a better place. And then I looked at the candidates and thought about which one of those candidates best matched up to my priorities as a New Yorker. Of course, it didn't end up being just one candidate. I ranked 4. And I think those are the 4 that best represent the 4 issues that are most important to me. Get out there, do your civic duty, rock the vote. It's a cool thing to do. I'm going to go inside and vote right now.